Welcome back to Living 808. With people living longer these days, chances are you or someone you know might be a caregiver or are in need of care in your life, but that can take a big toll. Recent Ed Winner back from Ho'oko LLC with straight talk about caregiver stress. This is a real thing. How is this manifested?
Well, first of all, a caregiver is someone who provides long-term, generally medical care for someone with whether it's a debilitating illness or just kupuna, our elders who are getting older and need to be cared for. And it manifests in different ways for different people, but some of the typical ways include just exhaustion, both physical and mental and emotional exhaustion. It can result in anxiety or depression or just fatigue, irritability even. And so sometimes people resort to substances, drinking more wine or different drinks, or even engaging in other types of substances in order to really try to cope. So there are a number of ways that this can manifest.
And a lot of people out there obviously dealing with this, right?
Absolutely. You know, so locally, statistics show here in Hawaii that actually 37% of our population here are actually caregivers, and usually that's 30% of them are actually under the age of 60 as well, too. Wow. So that actually makes it very likely that not only are they a caregiver, they're probably also still working and also still having to care for the family of their own. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at those things, you know, so now with the burdens of that, you know, it becomes extremely hard for them. Mm-hmm. And when that continues on, what happens for some individuals, it gets to the point for those caregivers where they have to actually also quit their job as well, too. And so AARP actually estimates that for those caregivers who lose their job or they drop their job or they resign from it, it's approximately about a $304,000 loss that they will take over their lifetime of earnings. In addition to that, you know, with caregiving costs in Hawaii, it's quite expensive. So even getting a health aid, it's about $5,000 a month. A daycare facility is $1,500 a month. So all that considered, it becomes extremely high cost for families and quite a burden to bear.
Absolutely, it takes a toll emotionally and financially. Absolutely. Clearly that. You mentioned some people doing alcohol or finding some sort of coping mechanisms. What would be some healthy ways to try and cope with the caregiver stress?
Well, one of the ways would be really to try to ferret out whether or not there are other people to share the burden, whether there are additional siblings or family members or even neighbors or friends who might be able to lend a hand, even for a momentary step into the house to just kind of give reprieve. But also some other things include setting up respite care, prioritizing what really needs to be done. It's kind of, I draw likeness to having a baby in which you need to figure out, you can't do everything. You gotta figure out which things are most important and then focus on those. And then also using community resources. Caregiver's Heart is one that provides solutions for kupuna care. And so utilizing other people, and then also really trying to take care of yourself. Because as we have learned in previous segments, you can't pour from an empty cup. You've got to be sound yourself in order to seed into somebody else.
What is the worst case scenario if someone doesn't properly deal with this?
You know, it really can have a lot of extreme mental health conditions that can occur, all of that. It's really important in general for caregivers to take care of themselves completely and as a whole. You know, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, they have to be well. And when a caregiver does not take care of themselves, as time goes on forward, it can lead to things like a burnout, depression, anger, you know, really substantial effects that can happen to an individual. And so given that, when they burn out themselves, then it becomes very difficult for them. If they can't even take care of themselves, then they can't take care of their own families as well as the person they need to care for.
What hope do they have? What do they need to be doing?
Well, first and foremost, as Edwina mentioned, the self-care is critical. That you have to, you know, carve out time to do self-care. That's the first part. Secondly, talking to someone, even writing some thoughts down, because you can tend to get disorganized and discombobulated with so much that you're trying to organize for someone else's care. But also reaching out to the community resources, you know, again, like a spiritual leader, a pastor, priest, or someone who can give counseling around that. And then also formal resource supports like therapists like ourselves at our counseling center. If folks wanted advice on that, they could call us at 375-7712 or reach us online at www.hookollc.com.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and letting a lot of people know who experience this too. Everyone just tries to take everything on and they don't have that release. It can have bad consequences. So thank you. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Thanks, Tanya.
All right, Recent Ed Winner from Ho'oko. We have more coming up on